must be you and I. It's got me thinking about us more. It's these bright lights, they put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes. Bright lights, they put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes. Bright lights, they put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes.
I've been up for 3 nights. My eyes are bloodshot red. Damn, I wanna see the sunshine. It's getting to my head. One look in the mirror, don't like what I find. I know that somewhere in there there's a good guy, but he runs away at midnight. I'm sorry that I stole your car. Ain't got those tattoos on my arms that don't mean shit to me. Maybe you should pull the alarm, so I don't take it way too far. Die before I'm 23. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. My siblings are perfect and I wish I were the same. Making bad decisions, it should be my middle name. I love playing with fire, it's my favorite. Watch me burn my whole house down, not feel a thing. One look in the mirror, don't like what I find. I know that somewhere in there there's a good guy, but he runs away at midnight. I'm sorry that I stole your car. Ain't got those tattoos
and there's collateral damage. I gotta go. I'm sorry that I stole your car.
Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Box 3 Motorsports. We are ready for PC-ACC Season 4 to kick off right now at COTA. We're going to have a blast today. Two races, AM and Pro-Am up first, Silver and Pro to follow immediately after. And we will get locked into the server here in just a moment. It's been a bit of a break here over the summer. Some fun events and everything, but we got a ton to go through because there's still a ton of stuff going on at Box 3 Motorsports, along with some of our partnered leagues that we work with. And let's talk about that for a moment. 6 hours, another 6-hour endurance series coming up very soon. Well, not very soon, starts in November, but still a nice little break there. And then we roll into the new year at Donington, Suzuka, Kyalami, and Panorama. I absolutely can't wait for that. I love the 6-hour series we ran last time. And you notice that last race is a 12-hour at Panorama this time. We only did 6 at the end of last season. This time we're going to go for the full 12. It's going to be a banger coming in February. As we said, we're here to start off Season 4 today. It's September 11th. We are at COTA. Zolder next week. This season taking us all the way through to November 6th. So coming into a good time of year to kind of be finishing things out, right? We're going into the holidays for everybody. But the cool part there is immediately after this, on November 12th, we got a 24-hour spa that'll be coming up. And another one that I simply can't wait for. Xbox continues. Actually, that's over now. I don't know why I still have this in here. Season 4 is over. And these guys did just have their multi-class event yesterday. Apparently went off really, really well. So big ups to B-Fife for running that event over there. TCR Season 1 continues next week at Oran Park. Just 2 weeks left if you are an iRacing fan and want to come join us. Been having a lot of fun. I unfortunately had to miss the first 2 races, but the last 2 were a lot of fun with these guys. It's very casual. You know, it's competitive, but at the same time casual. We're in a VC together. Everybody's kind of hanging out, and we just have a good time. And our day and night season continues tomorrow, or starts tomorrow, at Monza. So the 2 sprint races, 1 during the day, 1 at night. Going to be a lot of fun. Again, more casual racing. And I know for a fact, and I don't have a bumper for it, but I do know for a fact that Beer League is starting up again. And I'll make sure to get with Huff on that so that we know what's going on. We can make sure we get all the details out to you guys. But exclamation box in the chat if you need to go over to the Discord so that you can get all the details and join in on Beer Cup, join in on the casual racing, iRacing, or even get involved in Season 4. And with that, the server is currently bouncing. We will wait for that to come back up, and we will get into the practice for our AM and Pro-Am class drivers. Beer League started last Tuesday. See, I didn't get a poster for it, I don't think. So I don't have it here. So Beer League runs on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Again, casual racing at Box 3 Motorsports. These guys have a ton of fun out there, back and forth. I can't participate myself because, as anybody in the league will tell you, I'm an old man. I'm in bed by 10 o'clock. But these guys do have a ton of fun. And I have no doubt that this Beer League season is going to be exactly the same. So good on them. Xbox Racing as well over at Box 3. And Ottens needs me to keep talking for a few minutes. We're going to keep talking for a few minutes. We're going to talk this whole time. As I said, we got 2 races today. Just the same format we had last season. 2 races today. AM and Pro-Am are first. Silver and Pro will be second. So be sure and stick around. When you see that first race end, don't go anywhere, because we're going to jump directly over to the Pro and Silver race. Oh, and I got disconnected. I love ACC. It's my favorite. So let's get that bounced back up real quick. And we should be able to connect at that point. Isn't it awesome when it disconnects you for no reason whatsoever? Hope everyone had a great summer during the break between Season 3 and 4, as you saw there on the schedule. And we'll go over that again later today. But as you saw there, we're going to be jumping all the way through into November. And then that 24 hours of Spa comes. And I can't wait for that. It's... First of all, Spa is one of my favorite tracks. I enjoy it immensely. Second of all, covering a 24-hour race is just a blast. I don't care what anybody says. It's a lot of fun. And And there we go. Let's get jumped in. The driver's starting to join now. Jump over to our race window as we get things set up here on screen. And for anyone who doesn't know, exclamation pit wall in the chat will get you over to the live timing screen that we have set up for our races each and every week. Drivers just now getting connected today. Give it a few more minutes here for folks to get joined in. We'll start going through our drivers list for today's race. So this season coming in with a lot of returning drivers. Again, as I said, we're going to review those here in just a moment, but a lot of returning drivers, but a lot of new drivers and a lot of new blood in the league this season as well. It's going to be great to watch as people continue to join. I want to get them all in here during this free practice session. Sarosa, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all our first-time chatters today. I hope you guys enjoy the broadcast. Also, thank you to all the new followers we picked up just even before the start of today's race. I want to thank you, and now you can get those notifications and know when we are on track. "23 drivers out there so far today. James Bising, the first one to join today's free practice session. Josh Butler returning for season 4. Rick Pixel. I believe this is the first time we're seeing Mr. Pixel on track, but another returning driver, Bob Charlton, is back with us. Aaron Mavji, another first-time driver, but in the Bentley. We haven't seen Bentleys in a while, and already we have 2 out on track in this AM Pro-Am class race today. Leon Yang returning with us. Your boy Blue has been getting quite good in that Bentley. Doing really well driving that. Now we get to watch him through season 4 and see if he can continue it. Tristan Jongjik. As everyone knows, I will mispronounce names, guys. Don't forget. Thomas Miller joining us again. Gerald, and things jump around when people join and start setting times. Gerald Butz back in the Mercedes. Rogerio Santos, a returning driver. Michael Kozłowski. Nice livery there. Abdullah Syed, another returning driver. A lot of these guys having participated in some of our endurance events as well, and then now sticking around and joining the regular season. Josh Harrison out today. One of the first Audis we've seen on track. Actually, the first Audi we've gotten to so far. Another one down there driven by Matthew Sharp. That's very different than what we saw in Season 3. That Audi had just come out, the Evo 2, and a lot of drivers took to using it, particularly in the Pro and the Silver class. Not so many in in the AM and what was rookie class last season. But we'll see if that continues or exactly what's going to happen as we wait now. Free practice running down. Michael Zwanenberg, Adam Willie joining us. I've had the pleasure of racing with Adam on iRacing, and the cat knows what he's about. Lee Melvin joining us back on track along with Matt Comiskey. Your boy Blue with the new fastest lap. Wow, Josh Butler beating him out though. But again, free practice, it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. Nobody had much opportunity. COTA, a long track, you know, a 5 to 8, an 8-minute free practice doesn't give you a lot of time to go out there and set a flying lap on a track this long. We'll keep an eye on those guys during qualification, which will kick off here in just a moment. Tom Grantham, Kenny O'Connor on track, another Bentley, and returning for, I don't even know how long it's been, Chief Blaze, again, another iRacer that I drive with. Harry Driscoll. The Aston today. Matthew Sharp in the pits. There's our other Audi. Nick Brown returns. Adrian Banach and Bruce Hopkins rounds it out. 27, now 28 drivers as the Warthog, Frank Reynolds, jumps in right here at the start of qualification. And Frank Reynolds in the Audi this season. That is a change from what we saw during season 3. So far, just a few drivers out on track at the start of this 15-minute qualifying session. Chat not wrong, we got a ton of variety in there. Now, one thing I will say is a little surprising is the number of Hondas. And I'm going to point this out right now because this is a first. We've been running this league for almost a year. We're starting season 4, plus all of our what was that? Plus all of our casual leagues and endurance races and things like that. All Morris on track today, and again, this is a first, and I'm pretty sure this is a first in the Jaguar. Somebody has finally been brave enough to bring the Jag out. We will keep an eye on Mr. Paul Morris during the course of this race today. A little bit of a struggle here up front, but again, first time with a Jag on track at Box 3 Motorsports. Get on board with the Jag real quick. I don't even know if I've ever even listened to this car. Good sounding vehicle. Okay, we'll keep an eye on Mr. Morris and that Jag today. Check in with Adam Willie while we wait for times to start coming in here in our qualification session. Let's take a moment while we wait for times to start coming in here. Let's talk about who's in what class, because unfortunately, my software doesn't provide that information on screen, or even for myself. It's not something I can see when using this software. So let's run down the list real quick, though. Let's talk about AM class drivers first. So of all the drivers you're seeing on screen in front of you that we've talked about today, Frank Reynolds, Alex Martin, Matthew Sharp, Tristan, Adam Willey, Tom Grantham, Kenny O'Connor, Michael Alfheim, Karan Mavji, Abdullah Sayed, Michael Kozbuski, Zenith Ascendant, Lee Melvin, Chief Blaze, Joseph Huerta, Bruce Hopkins, and Michael Zwanenberg are your AM class drivers this season. As we take a look on the Pro-Am side, Harry Driscoll, Rogerio Santos, your boy Blue, Matt Comiskey, Seth Lemasters, James Vicing, Josh Butler, Josh Harrison, Robert Kinney, Leon Huang, Marcos Manolak, Gerald Butz, Bob Charlton, Adrian Banache, Thomas Miller, Relcines Taylor, Nick Brown, Paul Morris, and Rick Pixel will be your Pro-Am class drivers for today's race. And obviously I think we're going to see that in the times, right? The reason these guys were qualified or classified the way they were was because of where they landed during qualification. Okay. So that being said, you know, our pros are, our Pro-Ams are going to be a little higher to the top. Our Ams a little further back. So we will wait and see how this starts to come up throughout qualifying here today. So far, Rick Pixel in that BMW setting our fastest time, 2:08.6, but only fastest in Sector 2. Bob Charlton just a touch behind, 2:09.2. He's holding purple in Sector 3, and Rogerio Santos, a 2:09.585. Actually, our Sector 1 purple right now is Adrian Banach sitting back in P10. But the fastest driver in Sector 1 to this point. See James Bising now getting up there. That 2:08. So we've got two 2:08s so far. Coffin, the dude abides. So with the times of our top 10 now in, let's take a look at that Wally personal best delta. James Bising up right now, half a second on his fastest, which will definitely be enough to push him into P1. Rogerio Santos also running ahead by almost a full second. And there you have it, Rogerio Santos getting all the way up there with a 2:08.475. But James Bising not done yet. See if he's able to hold on. Now 0.6 up on his fastest. As I said, that's going to push him up to P1 if he can hold on to that. Harry Driscoll now with a 2:08.445. A lot of competition up here in the front. And there it is, James Bising, 2:08.067. He's getting down to about 2:08 flat. That puts him about 0.4 ahead of Terry Driscoll. That number 820. Waiting to take a look here and see where your boy Blue is. He's back in the pits at this point. But Terry Driscoll running very hard, a full second over his fastest. That would bring him down into well into the 207s. Keep in mind, folks, if you would like, you can watch live timing of today's race. Exclamation pit wall in the chat will get you there. Give you opportunity to see exactly how these guys compare. We'll be using it during the course of today's race to bring in as much info as we can. Harry Driscoll, there he is. As I said, that 207, he's well in there now. 207.767. Adam Willie doing well too. 208.165, giving him third place right now. Thomas Miller currently sitting in sixth. That 208.637. You know, we talked about this. A few of us were discussing this a week or so ago. From everything we've seen, and we've seen it before in previous seasons, but I'll tell you what, the racing is really going to be in the mid-pack for these classes. You know, if we look at the 208s, we've got a lot of 208s up there. We've got some 209s as well, but it just looks like we're going to have some really close racing up here in these mids that is going to allow us to have a lot of action across both races. 3.5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session at Circuit of the Americas today. And just enough time to talk about Season 4 for a moment. Today, September 11th, we are at COTA, as you saw, a 45-minute race and a 60-minute Pro and Silver race. Next week at Zolder, we're back for just 30 minutes and 45 minutes. You should take a look at the formats there on the side. The AM Pro-Am format, a 45-minute race. Fuel and tires are mandatory. The 60-minute, same for the Pro and Silver drivers. During the sprint race, the 30-minute race and the 45-minute for Pro and Silver, fuel with a minimum of 25 seconds and a 20-minute pit window. So we kind of change that up a little bit to get people to stay out on track long enough to burn some fuel. We don't let them do a splash and dash. Make them use a little bit of strategy there. You will see today, no specific pit window today. Fuel and tires are mandatory. We stay focused here on Thomas Miller because he is right now about 3/10 up on his fastest. Three's not gonna get him there, but if he can pull out a little more time, now running up close to half a second, if this 4/10 might jump him into P4. And not quite. It's down to a 208.275. Adam Willie still holding on to P4 with that 165. But the competition is there. Josh Harrison now having a good lap. Currently sitting P15 in that Audi, but half a second up right now, and actually a full second as I say it. Oh, and Harrison losing a ton of time there. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make that up. Matt Comiskey was showing 7/10 up. Right now, Terry Driscoll just running it down. And there we get a new fastest from Terry himself, down to a 207.670. Our only driver today to get into the 207s using that Aston Martin. Rick Pixel still in the 208s, sitting P2 right now. Little bounciness today. And there our qualifying session comes to an end. Terry Driscoll will be your pole sitter today, with no one else in the top 10 anywhere near running a faster lap. Check in on Tristan real quick. TG, you're gonna have to help me with that one. You gotta send me something, man. But Tristan right now, about a 10th up. Michael Zwanenberg doing even better, however. Sitting at 7/10. Chief Blaze as well, trying to set a fast lap here before the end of qualifying. Got himself up into P24. Josh Harrison almost a second up on his fastest time. We always have to run qual all the way to the end. Youngadike? Youngadike? Younged? Or Youngdike? Like skip the extra syllable. Josh Harrison with an opportunity here. I mean, this will jump him several spots if he can hold on to it. Now over a full second up. Let's see where this gets him. This pushes him up into 2.8s. I mean, we're talking about jumping into the top 10 here if he can hold on to this. First pronunciation was pretty good. Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, you got blocked. Because I know what you were trying to do. And there you go. Harrison gets himself into the top 10 right at the end of qualification. Great job on his part. Putting him in P9. So, row 1 today, Terry Driscoll, Rick Pixel. Row 2, James Bising, Adam Willie. Row 3, Thomas Miller, Rogerio Santos. Row 4, Matt Comiskey and Bob Charlton. Row 5, again, Josh Harrison pulling himself up into the top 10 right at the end of qual. And he will share row 5 with Gerald Butz. Row 6, Josh Butler and your boy Blue. Row 7, Matthew Sharp, Paul Morris. Row 8, Lee Melvin and Bruce Hopkins. Row 9, Michael Kozbowski and Kenny O'Connor. And here we go, row 10, Tristan Youngadike and Nick Brown. Row 11, Michael Zwanenberg, Leo Huang. Abdul Sayed and Chief Blaze bringing up row 12. Terrell Seens Taylor and Adrian Banach will share row 13. Row 14, Tom Grantham and Karan Mavji. And bringing up the back, Mr. Frank Reynolds, who did not set a qualification time today. There we have it, folks. That is your lineup for the AM and Pro-Am class racing here at the Circuit of the Americas. Season opener of Season 4 for Box 3 Motorsports PC-ACC League. I want to welcome everybody in. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys hanging out and appreciate you sticking around after this first race because our Pro and silver class drivers will be running directly afterwards. We will join them. Qualification already in progress for a 60-minute race here at COTA. So be sure and stick around for that. So some of our new timers here, just to talk about them a little bit, Adam Willie being one of them. As I said, I've raced with this gentleman in iRacing. Very spry, and it looks like that carries over to ACC for him, placing in 4th in his first race with us. Doing a great job. James Bising, you know, if you guys watched the show last week, the preseason show we did last week, you heard James talking about, he's been practicing. He's been getting better, and I think it shows. Coming in, you know, placing 3rd in qual. That's great to see from James. He hasn't raced with us for a while. He's been very busy. Now coming back and doing just a bang-up job in the first race of the season. As we get online and get ready for the race to start. We have to check on him. P14. Everybody remember it. Paul Morris in the Jag. The first Jag. The only Jag. Right there it is. We'll see how Mr. Morris does today and how the Jaguar performs for him. This is literally the first one I have seen. Oh, and Tristan helping out as well. Youngadike. Okay, I think I got it now. Now is me remembering it. So now I just have to remember it. And we'll see if I can do that or not. Dan loves the Jag. You should drive the Jag. Inaugural race of season 4. Very excited to be here. I missed race weeks over the summer. It was nice to have a break, but I did miss race weeks. And I hope you all did as well. Good to see Frank Reynolds back with us. The Warthog, the man, the myth, the legend himself. There you go, TG. Throw down on Mondays during the day and night sprints. Talk about it a little bit real quick before we get started here. Got a formation lap yet to run, but day and night sprints starting tomorrow, September 12th, 6 p.m. UTC. Should put it at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And again, first sprint results set the grid for the second sprint. First, second, and third of each race gets ballast. 30, 20, and 10 kilograms respectively. I believe the goal here is to run 2 races, a day and a night at the same track. Give everybody opportunity. As I said, I don't have a poster or a bumper for it today, but Beer League started last week again on Tuesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Give those folks that can't race until late evening in the U.S., whether because of kids or work or what have you, a chance to get together for some casual racing. These guys have always had a lot of fun with Beer League, and I'm sure that this season will be no different. Welcome in, Master. Hello to you. And my favorite is coming back, the GT3 Endurance Series with Trackalicious and 949. We kick that off November 19th at Donington, and we roll right through the new year to a 12-hour finisher at Mount Panorama on February 18th of 2023. Much fun. A lot of fun. with that, let's get back over to our main race window here as our drivers run the formation lap. We'll get ourselves prepped and ready for the start of this race. Now, the first corner at COTA, I honestly have very little experience at COTA. I have not driven it a ton myself, mainly because I'm here. Oh, and Adam Willey starting from the pits today. That's a shame. I mean, qualified in 5th to have to drop back now. That is a shame. That's really too bad. Wanted to see how he was going to run. But going back to what I was saying, you know, again, very little experience for myself at COTA. I drive iRacing now. I don't really drive much in ACC. I sit here and cover races. So my understanding, though, is turn 1 can be really complicated, can really become a problem if you're not paying attention. Hopefully our drivers today paying attention. Now, what we saw during last season, during season 3, when we were doing this same, again, the same format, right? Split AM and rookie, or AM and pro-am, and silver and pro races. The biggest thing that I noticed in season 3 was during the AM and the rookie races, you saw much fewer incidents than we did during the pro and silver class. A little Dunning-Kruger effect going on there. The pro and silver guys are going to throw themselves into T1 and hope that their ability as a pro or silver driver is going to carry the day. Where our AM and pro-am drivers are a little more reticent. You know they don't have as much experience. They're not as confident in their abilities. And I think that really is what translated into fewer incidents during races last season. And I'm curious to see if that same impact is felt here in season 4, or with the new drivers, maybe some of them are hazards and we're going to see bigger problems in both series, not just one or the other. Grid for this race is 29 people. Terrell Seens-Taylor also starting from the pits for this race. Big shame there when you got to do a pit start. We wait for the drivers to start pulling into double file. Get ready for the start of this race. Don't worry, we will check in with Paul Morris and the Jag, now sitting in P12 after drivers dropped into the pits for the start. And you always have to wonder, I mean, obviously we're not in any one driver's head, but you always have to wonder, did they drop to the pits on purpose? Because they didn't want to deal with any lap 1 shenanigans. And there we go. We are green and headed in. Terry Driscoll and Rick Pixel dropping back to 3rd right away as we come into T1. Oh, and we've got a car sideways in the backfield. Let's jump back up front, though. We saw a little bit of bump in there, but overall, relatively clean. Terry Driscoll continues to lead. Now James Bison going to pick up P2 as Rick Pixel drops back. Josh Butler moving up into P10 now. Nick Brown, Kenny O'Connor, Tristan Yonadike, Aaron Mavji, and Michael Zwanenberg, all with contact at the front of this race. Get down trackside a little closer here. We check in on Terry Driscoll up front with James Bison right there. A little bit further back, though, Thomas Miller under pressure from Rogerio Santos. Driscoll and Bising with contact up front. Bising looking for an opportunity, just not going to present itself. And now Rick Pixel is going to join the three-way fray up front as Bising makes the move into first. Not able to hold on to it, though. Terry Driscoll taking that spot back up Pixel and Miller in the back. And a bump and a push there. Rogerio Santos and Miller coming into contact and sucking up some other people with them. Santos dropping back very quickly. Gerald Butz moving into P8 with all the contact we've seen. Oh, and another push, a turn in. And Butz getting baffed back a bit, was really doing well. Terry Driscoll now into the pits, allowing James Bising and Rick Pixel to pull up. Matt Comiskey now in third. So Driscoll into the pits right away. I mean, we saw a little bit of contact there with Bising, but it didn't look like enough to cause a problem. I'll be curious to see if that is... It's gonna be curious to see if that was on purpose, get the pit stop out of the way and carry through. There's no pit window for this race. So now James Bising with a commanding 1 second lead over Rick Pixel. Let's check in with Matthew Sharp, however, right there in the Audi, able to take up Thomas Miller. Now looks like went off track, giving up 3 spots. Bruce Hopkins leading Gerald Butz and Nick Brown, as Bob Charlton closing in on Josh Harrison for P4. Paul Morris, I told you we'd check in with him. It's so different. Paul Morris getting himself up into P7 with all the shenanigans, and now Rick Pixel taking over for James Bising. Let's bounce that back real quick. Bising going out way wide and giving that position up to Rick Pixel. Tristan Jonadijk taking up, looking to get P11, but fighting Matthew Sharp for it. Able to get clear in the Honda there. James Bising now into the pits. Matt Comiskey moving up the ranks. And a new fastest lap from Matt Comiskey, who, as we said, is taking up P2 right now. Josh Harrison and Bob Charlton battling it out. Little door banging as we go through T1. Harrison able to pull out front right there. Take a look back though. Nick Brown and Gerald Butz fighting. Nick able to get clear. Rogerio Santos and Karan Mavji battling back here too. Santos able to get through and back up into P15 as we jump back up with Nick Brown and Gerald Butz. Coffin, don't lay that hate at my doorstep, sir. They can't hear me. Unless they can, and then in which case it's not my fault either way, so. What's running him down hard on the outside. Not quite able to grab it though. Nick Brown holding on by tooth and nail. And now Tristan Jonadijk wants to join in this battle. I don't know if I'm Tristan, I want to keep I'm Tristan, I want to keep my Honda not scratched up here at this early in the race. And maybe let these two fight for a minute before I take out whoever loses. Got another battle brewing back here, though, as Frank Reynolds, James Bising getting... that was not Frank he made contact with, but obviously some problems in that corner. Frank Reynolds. Now Terry Driscoll leading Leon Huang and Adam Willey. Battles all over the place. Now Bob Charlton falling back. Rick Pixel continuing to lead this race. Got about a 1.5 second gap now. Let's check in with Tristan and Gerald as this battle continues. As these guys catch now up to Nick Brown again. Tristan sneaking through. So now Woods having to contend with Nick Brown right in front of him. No drive-throughs yet. So Kenny O'Connor, you see right there as we focus on Tristan, but Kenny O'Connor getting around, or Kenny O'Connor and Matthew Sharp battling it out. Kenny had the advantage there for a moment. But Sharp able to grab it back through T1. James Bising now back into the pits again. Now a second pit stop for Bising. Gerald Butz able to take up position over Nick Brown, moving up to P8. Matthew Sharp still battling Kenny O'Connor right here, though. O'Connor looking for any opportunity to get that Bentley around. And now we'll have to deal with Lee Melvin. So Nick Brown, Matthew Sharp, Lee Melvin, and Kenny O'Connor all coming together right here. As again, we see the door banging happen. Bob Charlton there with him. Chief Blaze now catching up in the Bentley, the green Bentley you see in the back. Charlton able to clear O'Connor, but now Chief Blaze making a sneak around the outside. Bentley versus Bentley at the Circuit of the Americas today. Nick Brown, Matthew Sharp coming back together. Tell you what, we got to go back here and look real quick because Adam Willey and Abdullah Sayed have been battling back here for P17. I mean, these positions just keep trading back and forth. Whoa, and there's a problem. Whoa, what is going on here? Saeed and Willie. Did they come into contact? No. There was no contact there. Both drivers having separate issues. Looks like positions will not change because of it, but my goodness. Kenny O'Connor now in Chief Blaze. The battle of the Bentleys continues. Rogerio Santos right there behind him. Now Rogerio very fast, ended up in the pits early. But these guys are under no obligation to let him by. We are playing for position here as Chief tries the undercut on the inside. Santos applying a ton of pressure on Chief Blaze. And Kenny O'Connor into the pits and not having a fun time with it. Now leave Melvin and Bob Charlton battling. Charlton getting around. Matt Comiskey now in first. Josh Harrison in second with Rick Pixel now running third. Abdullah Syed and Adam Willie still coming together. No, Syed just pulling off the track there. Adam Willie now getting spun. Syed and your boy Blue both getting around. Check in with our current race leader, though, Matt Comiskey. Holding on to P1. Josh Harrison in pursuit, about 2.5 seconds back in the Audi. With 15 minutes gone, let's take a quick look here, as we always do, and check position deltas. Who has done what during the course of today's race? Comiskey and Harrison. Comiskey up 6 spots, Harrison up 7. Along with Josh Butler right there. Rick Pixel losing 1. But so far, Tristan Youngendijk doing really, I would say, the best of all our drivers today. Up 12 spots to number 7 as Gerald Butz and Lee Melvin both head into the pits. Tristan having a great race to this point as we set up 12 spots. Now, obviously, these drivers still, everybody from P1 to 12 still needing to take a pit stop. So we'll wait for those to start to happen. But Butler is off track now. See if he can get turned. No, Paul Morris, Bruce Hopkins, both able to get around. Tristan able to get around, now up into P6, another gainer for him. That puts Tristan 13 spots up. Butler just now getting himself back out on track. And Matthew Sharp taking position from him. And now instantly under pressure from Nick Brown. So a spin on Butler's part, almost getting him out of the top 10, and he's going to have to play defense against Brown and Charlton, who are both right there behind him. Here comes Brown looking for it. He's got the inside line on Butler right there. Not quite enough. That inside line doesn't seem to help in that corner. We've watched that happen a few times today. Josh Butler continues to lead this trio. Nick Brown, Bob Charlton right there. Charlton able to get around Brown. Chief Blaze about to catch up to this group as well, along with Rogerio Santos. And Josh Butler is going to be leading a 5-car train around this track. Nick Brown heads into the pits. Bob Charlton into the pits. So now Butler getting a little bit of a reprieve there. Santos about 1.8 back, but Santos now under pressure from Chief Blaze. We've seen this play out before. Abdullah Saeed and Adam Willie. Adam Willie able to take that position up, but again, this is not the first time we've seen these guys battle. Saeed having a great race, up 9 spots on the day. Willie, on the other hand, down 9 with a couple spins and a very early pit stop. Charlton losing a ton of space in the pit for a very, very long time. Now, just now coming out. Santos and Butler. As Josh Harrison, our current number 2, heads into the pits to clear that mandatory stop. He will be the first of our top 10 to clear that spot. So there you go. See Santos heading into the pits to clear his. But wait till we get a little closer to the end here to check, you know, that position delta again that we talked about earlier. Josh Butler, as you can see down here in the bottom corner of your screen, up 4 spots today. But Chief Blaze has got to be happy right now. Now, still needs to make that mandatory pit, but started in P24, now in P8, having a great race. Oh no, and Butler off track again. Dropping spots to Blaze and Driscoll. He tries to get turned back around. Now Paul Morris and Bruce Hopkins coming together for P3. So Paul Morris, the man that comes out in the Jag. Everybody sits and looks to just say, what is going on? Right? Suddenly, sitting in P3 in this race. Now, if that isn't a surprise, I don't know what is. Welcome in, Jez. I don't know what to say to that. It's the man with the golden Jag. Currently sitting in 3rd. And again, he's got to take that mandatory pit, right? So things are still going to tussle around a little bit, but so does Comiskey, so does Pixel, so does Hopkins, so does Tristan, so does Matthew, and so does Chief Blaze, all sitting right around him. So there he goes, Paul Morris into the pits. Gonna get that stop done. Let's check in with our race leader, Matt Comiskey. Still holding on to P1. Matthew Sharp, Terry Driscoll, Paul Morris, Josh Butler, your boy Blue, all now going into the pits. So ahead of them right now, Comiskey, Pixel, Hopkins, Tristan, and Chief Blaze all need to make that pit stop. That whole top 5 that you see in front of Butler right now. And just keep in mind, I mean, there's no splash and there's no splash and dash here today, right? You've got to do tires. So you're not, the guys holding on to the very end are not doing so that they can splash out or splash in, come out for 3 laps and be done. They're going to have to make that tire change. I got you, Ottens. I already saw it and copied it. I should be good, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Don't forget, folks, stick around after this race that ends in just 21 and a half minutes. Our pro and silver class drivers will be taking over. They are joining the server now. We will join them mid-qualification. Still at Circuit of the Americas, and we'll be joining them for a 60-minute race at the conclusion of this one. Matt Comiskey now and Rick Pixel both into the pits. That leaves just Bruce Hopkins, Tristan Youngadike, and Chief Blaze still out on track, having not cleared that stop. Now, we do have one further back. Tom Grantham has not yet headed into the pits, and as you see right there, Bruce Hopkins heading in now. But Tom Grantham in the number 211, excuse me, Mercedes has still not cleared that pit stop either, as he gets passed up by Thomas Miller. Roger that, man. I will. Thank you. We check in with Chief Blaze, Tristan Yonadik up front here. Tristan in first, Chief Blaze running in second right now. Comiskey, Pixel, Comiskey just now coming out of the pits. Rick Pixel should be out soon. Oh. And drivers spun on track. Josh Harrison now pulling up through the ranks. You see there as he gets around Pixel, Hopkins, and Willie. All in the pits. So with the pit stop cleared, Comiskey back out in third, so he will come back out in first once Blaze and Yonadyke have to clear that pit stop at whatever point that happens. Morris battling Hopkins back here and getting around. Gerald Butts right there behind Hopkins now and going to make his own play. But Paul Morris, listen, like I said, Morris, I think, having a great race in a car nobody ever drives. He's the only one we've ever seen. And up a ton of positions. I mean, he's having a great race today. There we see Gerald Butts able to get around Bruce Hopkins. Get a little bit of clean air, but he will be looking to strike at Paul Morris next. Checking on Matthew Sharp and Terry Driscoll. Oh, and a swing and a miss. Driscoll now spun contact with Matthew Sharp in that corner. So And there you go, Tristan. Excuse me, Youngadike and Chief Blaze both into the pits. Matt Comiskey moves back up into first. Josh Harrison in second. Rick Pixel going to take up third. Let's wait and see where those guys come back out on track. We'll take again a look at that position delta and who really had the best performance today. I mean, Comiskey can't be disappointed, right? He didn't start up in first. Had a great qual, but didn't start up in first, so he's obviously going to be very happy about this. And Tristan Youngadike comes back out on track in P6. Now, Bruce Hopkins is not that far back, but a great pit stop from him as Chief Blaze drops back down to P17 and is still in the pits. Sitting back there with Tom Grantham. Let's check up with Paul Morris. Gerald Butz catching up to Morris now. Bruce Hopkins getting around Tristan now. So with Youngadike and Blaze both back out on track, as we said, let's take a look at that position delta today. Again, Comiskey and Harrison both have to be ecstatic. Had a great race, up 6 and 7 respectively. A really good run on them. Tristan Youngadike, however, 12 spots up. Nick Brown as well, up 11 positions during the course of today's race. So great moves on all of them. And we talked about Mr. Jaguar himself, Paul Morris, up 10 spots. So a lot of happy drivers out there today, no doubt when it comes to this. And even Pixel. I mean, look, Pixel dropped off a spot as we keep our focus here on Morris and Butz as they continue this battle as we get down to the 15-minute mark in this first of 2 races today. You know, Pixel's got to be a little upset. He dropped a spot, but at least he was able to hold his own. We've seen, I mean, you guys see the other drivers out there, Driscoll, Santos, Bising, Willie, all dropping double-digit positions during the course of this race. So if I'm Rick Pixel right now, I'm kind of happy with where I'm at. As we see that changes now, Youngadike up 13 spots with that pass on Hopkins. Bit of a stack up coming behind Nick Brown for P9 now too. NML Racing, I just saw that comment. Thank you for that. And you should tell everybody you know. Have them come and watch. They want that silky smooth voice. Oh, and we're going to door bang up the hill. Paul Morris and Gerald Butz. And Butz able to sneak around to take up P4. Butler and Sharp looks like came together. Sharp dropping a couple spots. Butler holding on to P10 right now, but he's under pressure from Driscoll. And Lee Melvin right there to join the party. Butler in the Honda holding on for now. But not for long. Driscoll able to get around. Is Melvin going to make a play as well? See if he can sneak that Porsche through somewhere. Almost Miller able to take up P7 as Hopkins slows down. If Gerald Butz thought he was going to hold on to P4 without a fight, however, he might be mistaken. Paul Morris closing that gap down. Just over 12 and a half minutes left to go in our AM/Pro-Am race today. Stick around. Pro and Silver class racing coming up right after this. Now Brown and Driscoll. There you have it. Driscoll on the downhill, able to just blow around Nick Brown. Take up P9. Butler right here going to join with these guys, though, and see if he can get himself back into the top 10 before the end of today's race. Now Sharp and Melvin. Sharp able to clear around Lee Melvin in the number 3. Whoa. And then spins himself out. Charlton and O'Connor both able to clear and get around Melvin. And now Santos. So Melvin losing 3 spots there, and we've got a Bentley off track, the Bentley of Kenny O'Connor. Well, obviously, drivers still struggling with COTA even this deep into the race. As we check in with Zwanenberg and Kazubski. There we go. I think I got that one. Kazubski. Back here for P20 run, running together. So obviously we saw some door banging today. We did see some pushes, some incidents. But I gotta say, overall, clean race. A lot of what happened and a lot of what we saw during the course of this race was drivers doing that to themselves. It was not anything that was done to them. As we jump up with Matthew Sharp and Bob Charlton. Currently looking for P12. Sharp trying to keep that Audi and nose it in through the corner, and a knock there. Wow, a hard push by Bob Charlton. As Hopkins moves up to P7, so Charlton will take up P12 after that nudge on Matthew Sharp. Bruce Hopkins, again, taking up P7 over Thomas Miller. You love Kazbuski's livery. Oh, tools. I like it. It's nice. It's not super crazy fancy. It's just nice, you know? It is a nice livery. Bruce Hopkins and Thomas Miller coming back together. Action all the way through this race. And we said it would happen, that a lot of this action was going to happen in the mid-pack. We see right below there Brown and Butler coming together. For P10, Butler really pushing to get himself into the top 10 before the end of this race. He's got about 8.5 minutes left to do it. Pixel now yellow flagged, off track in P3. Can Gerald Butz get around? He's still 4.5 back. Not quite, but closed the gap quite a bit. Now only 2 seconds between them as Butler gets himself there. Butler, let's jump it back real quick and see if we can catch it. There it is, that downhill again. Butler shooting up the inside to take up P10 over Nick Brown. Now can he hold it until the end of this race? That'll put Josh Butler up 1 spot today. Paul Morris, our favorite Jaguar driver, still sitting in P5. A great race for him. Second was Zwanenberg and Kazbuski. Whoa, something crazy going on track. But Kazbuski's able to get around Zwanenberg. And now we got to check in with Kenny O'Connor, right to Kenny O'Connor and Adam Willie. Willie shooting up the inside. Willie able to get himself back to P16 here before the end of the race. Matt Comiskey continues to lead this run at COTA, and a little trouble there. Tires are starting to wear thin, maybe. Although I wouldn't think they would be by now. I mean, he stayed out pretty late, right? So little overbraking, underbraking, a little deep into the corner. But Comiskey holds on. He's got a 16-second gap back to Josh Harrison. So at this point, really his race to lose. As we said, Harrison in the number 237 Audi continues to run strong. Drivers keep coming together, however. Charlton and Nick Brown added again. Charlton able to take up position, but Paul Morris now getting passed by Terry Driscoll for about a half a second as he looks to hold on to P8. Not able to do it though, and now Driscoll pulling away. Paul Morris still in the top 10. As I said, cannot be disappointed with today's results at all. Zap Brandigan in the chat. Don't forget, folks, stick around because in 4 minutes we are jumping over to the Pro and Silver class race where you can watch the amazing Zap Brandigan run down in his Porsche. Always a entertaining watch. What we try and do is keep the camera focused on Zap until his first spin, since we know it's coming, and then from there we can go watch the rest of the race. Love you, Zap. Things calming down here just a tad towards the end here. Again, about 3 minutes left to go. Look at it one more time because this is always, to me, one of the greatest things we can look at just to see how well people have done today. Again, Comiskey up 6 spots, Harrison up 7. They've held on to that. Gerald Butz now up 6 spots. But look at that. Tristan Young and Dyke. I have to think about it every time still, so I'm doing my best, Tristan, I promise. But you shared your first name with my son, so that's cool. I'll remember it, I promise. I'll get there, don't worry. Tristan, Young and Dyke, up 14 positions at this point. Just an amazing run in that Honda today. Really, really just pumped it up and got up there, but not to be outdone. I mean, you know, Bruce Hopkins, our current P6, up 10 spots today. So we got two drivers in the top 6 that have done double-digit runs to get themselves in those positions. That's just fantastic as your boy Blue and Adam Willie come together back here. Your boy Blue, the winner of that one so far. Oh, and Rick Pixel with a problem and drops position to Gerald Butz right here at the end. Butz taking up P3 by a significant gap. I mean, 8.5 seconds so far. We'll see if that gets any wider or starts to come down. But only a minute and a half left. That's less than a lap here at the Circuit of the Americas. Oh no, and Paul Morris pushes a little too hard, letting Josh Butler sneak through, and Bob Charlton, and Nick Brown. What a shame, dropping 3 spots just like that. Matthew Sharp has dropped into the pits, giving up position, but Gerald Butz pulling up into P3 here at the end of this race today. Less than a minute left to go. And Chief Blaze now into the pits at the end of the race. This is why we watch to the end, ladies and gentlemen. Gerald Butz getting himself into 3rd place on a mistake from Rick Pixel. We did have a few drive-thrus today. Terry Driscoll pulling a drive-through, James Bising pulling a drive-through, Rogerio Santos pulling a drive-through here at COTA. That was one of the bigger concerns this week with the track limits here at COTA. Time now run down as we wait for Matt Comiskey to come across the line and claim victory of the first race of Season 4 here at Box Motorsports. And Terry Driscoll still making moves here at the end, getting up into P7. Hopkins catching up to Tristan Yonadike as well. See if he's able to play it into anything. And there you go. Comiskey is your winner at COTA today in our AM and Pro-Am class race. Again, make sure you hit SimGrid. All results will be posted once any incidents are handled. Harrison finishing in 2nd. And it looks as though Gerald Butz able to hold on for P3 right there. Hopkins getting close, but just can't quite find the angle on Tristan as he gets across the line first. Bruce Hopkins holding on for P6. Terry Driscoll coming across in P7. Josh Butler under pressure from Charlton right till the end, but he gets across the line holding on to P8. Charlton in 9th with Nick Brown coming across P10. And there you have it, folks. That is your AM and Pro-Am class race today. As I said, don't go anywhere. Stick around, because we're not done. Matt Comiskey, Harrison, and Gerald Woods end up your podium today for our AM and Pro-Am class race here at COTA. But we got to get jumped over to the Pro. I'm sorry, that was AM and Pro-Am. We're jumping over to Pro and Silver right now, provided I can find it. I think I can. I'm like the legend that could. It says you pinged it. Doesn't want to show up. Ah, my favorite. Put the tunes back on. What is it?
I remember laughing and playing games. I could always tell you what I want to say.
Oh my lord. You guys are making things complicated. Let's get over there. Come on, these guys want to see a pro and a silver class race. Thank you, Zep. That did it. Whoa. Uh-oh. Ooh, that was close. Oh, things get weird sometimes, huh? All right, folks, and here we are again. We're in the pro and silver class race now. Let's jump right over to it. And I gotta fix stuff, so stand by. There we go. Much better. So with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left in today's qualifying for our pro and silver class racers, and we will review that as we get the race started here on who is in what class. I am going to take a quick step away, ladies and gentlemen, put you on autopilot for just a few moments. I need to take a break. This is a 1 hour race, so we're going to be here a little bit longer. But again, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We got all the action that is best to have right here at Box3 Motorsports. My name is Adam Thursby. I'll be back with you in just a moment. Keep an eye on my boys here as we watch qualifying end. And I'll be back to see you in just a minute. There we have it, folks. Qualifying coming to an end and starting to set things up. A lot of drivers still out on track, however. Banthar, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Bend a lap, which was plus 0.7. That's not good, my man. A lot of new drivers here with us on in the Pro and Am class. I'm sorry, in the Pro and Silver classes as well today. We're going to go through them right now with this coming to an end. Leading us off, row 1, Dimitri Athwal, a returning driver. Blaine Hall in row 1 in P2 right now. Wes Hepburn and Sergey Zagorski. There you go. I got that one. We'll share row 2. Charlie Booth returning to us today, along with Dahlia Hazel. We'll share row 3. Row 4, Anthony Anderson and Dave Alvarez Jr. Tobias Gable, TG, the crazy German himself, back with us. And Tom Foose will share row 5. Nathan Edwards and Alejandro Aguilar will share row 6. Andrew Haynes, Lee Dormand, row 7. Niall Schlieder and Stephen Dunn in row 8. Justin Van Weiser and Robert Hepburn, row 9. Joshua Baker and Daniel Pickett, not driving the Pink Pig this year, will share row 10. Remco Ottens, Jake Wells in row 11. Mike Jones and Rob Kesar, row 12. Adam Thomas, Jan Barth in row 13. Igor Korninkov, and Meridian Lors Davies, followed up by Armand Petrovics, Nikolai Tiabuk, Simone Bardari, Zach Brannigan, and Kevin Huffman. 33 drivers on track today. Let's talk about it for a minute, folks, while we wait for this race to get started. Your silver drivers today. And again, you know, I'm running through this list off of SimGrid, so understand some of these drivers are not on track, okay? I'm going to say names that you don't see in the list just because, well, they're on this list, and I didn't match the two up before the race. Gilles Alman, Alexander Lang, Stephen Dunn, Alejandro Aguilar, Igor Korninkov, Jan Barth, Lee Dorman, Dahlia Hazel, Zach Brannigan, Jason Woolworth, Arminds Petrovics, Kevin Huffman, Louis Ricard, Josh Baker, Niall Schlieder, Rob Kesar, Simone Bardari, Mike Jones, Rian Lloyd Davis, Adam Thomas, Nikolai Tiabuk, and Robert Hepburn are your silver drivers for today. Your pro drivers, Andrew Haynes, Blaine Hall, Garrett Kane, Jake Wells, John Gray, Remco Ottens, Dimitri Athwal, Nate Lamlin, Tom Foose, Brian Canopin, esports legend Brian Canopin not joining us today. Wilson Fernandez, E.G. Tobias Gable, the German, Anthony Anderson, Gasolina, Charlie Booth, Wes Hepburn, Justin Van Weiser, Nathan Edwards, David Alvarez, Sergey Zagorski, and Daniel Pickett are your pro class drivers today. So Dimitri Athwal, Blaine Hall going to lead us off on the formation lap. Again, folks, don't think it ends today. It doesn't, because this is literally the first race of season 4. We're carrying on all the way through November. Right? Next week, come back and watch us. We'll be at Zolder for sprint racing, 30 and 45 minutes respectively between the two races. Watkins Glen, Silverstone, Misano, Snetterton, and Suzuka all making an appearance during season 4, The Grind at Box 3 Motorsports. And we're not done in November. We don't stop in November. 6 hours at Donington, Suzuka, and Kyalami coming up with Trackalicious and 949 Sim Racing, with capping it off in February with a 12-hour at Mount Panorama. Absolutely fantastic. That's going to be so much fun. We're going to have a blast. Hey, and if you just are more into casual racing, first of all, again, I don't have a bumper for it, but Beer Night is running right now every Tuesday. Exclamation box in the chat will get you there. Come over to the Discord. and we will make sure that you are all set for some casual racing. But what I do have one for is day and night sprints running every Monday. Starts tomorrow at Monza. 2 races. You see the rules there. First sprint sets the results for the grid for the second. First, second, and third from each race get a ballast. And it starts at 5:45 p.m. I assume that, yeah, that's UTC, 6 p.m. UTC race start time. So again, casual racing at Box 3. Oh, and we do iRacing too. We're back next week at Olran Park. You can watch it right here at Box3 Motorsports. You can watch my perspective, because I actually drive in iRacing. But come on back on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 8 p.m. UTC for the next 2 weeks. After this, we're looking at an oval race season, and then maybe we get some rally cross going too with the guys that do iRacing. We're having a blast in TCR Season 1, and I think we'll end up revisiting those absolutely, because it's a lot. Those TCRs can be a pain, but they're a lot of fun too. As we jump back in, our pro race is underway, getting ready to start here with our formation lap. Dimitri Athwal leading the pack. Blaine Hall sharing row 1 with him. Wes Hepburn, Sergey Zagorsky in row 2. Charlie Booth and Delilah Hazel. It's not Dahlia, it's Delilah Hazel in row 3. Anthony Anderson, Dave Alvarez Jr. making up row 4 with Tobias Gable and Tom Foose in row 5. That is your top 10 starting grid for this race today at Circuit of the Americas. I want to welcome everyone who is watching today. We've got 33 drivers on track for the start of this Pro and Silver class race. We are here for the next hour. So stay with us. Gasolina in the chat, not able to race today. That is a shame, Gaz. We love seeing you in your Bentley out there. As we get set up, I actually remember to set up the pit stops this time. 1 mandatory pit stop during the course of this race, an expected stop time of 30 seconds. We can get our predictors going here a little bit later. As our drivers line up in double file. And we are green at COTA here for Pro and Silver class racing. Dimitri Athwal and Blaine Hall leading us down the straight. Delilah Hazel making quick moves up into 4th and then back to 5th. And now into 3rd as we got, oh, and we've got yellow. Things are flipping all over the place. I cannot see a thing. Oh my, what happened? We're going to watch Charlie Booth apparently. A lot of contact through T1 though. As you see, every one of those exclamation points on your screen is contact. What happened here? Because things went crazy. And Delilah Hazel was up into P3 at one point and now has dropped back way hard. We've already lost a driver. as Dimitri Athwal leads us out, but Lee Dorman right now leading a pack of Tom Foose, John Baker, Alejandro Aguilar under pressure from Adam Thomas. Things went a little crazy up front. I mean, I don't know what happened. Maybe we'll go back and review it afterwards, but it got so bad that it locked my software and that I could not... I couldn't change drivers. I couldn't get back to see what I wanted to see with these guys, unfortunately. Sergei Zagorsky in 5th, now under pressure from Gable. And the Audis have stacked themselves up 5, 6, 7, and 8. And look at all the traffic in the background. At the end of this race, we will try and jump back and take a look at T1 and figure out what happened, because as I said, whatever it was, positions changed so hard that I lost control of my software for a minute, which is very... I don't think that's ever happened before, even at Watkins. So Dimitri Athwal continues to lead. Blaine Hall in 2nd. Charlie Booth, Anthony Anderson, and Sergei Zagorsky make up your top 5 to this point. Lee Dorman and Tom Foose having a fight for P8. Joshua Baker right there with them. More contact further back. Daniel Pickett now under pressure from a long line of drivers. Damone Badari, Andrew Haynes, and Jan Barth, along with Niall Schleter, all stacked up in this group. Let's pull back a little bit just so we can see what's going on here. Jan Barth and Niall Schleter have decided those two Porsches should become one Porsche. Now Tobias Gable under pressure from Alvarez Jr. Yes, Steez, he is. He's in there somewhere. No doubt we'll find him at some point. Remco Otten's currently running 24th behind Delilah Hazel. Speaking of Otter, they're coming together now. Hazel and Ottens. Delilah Hazel able to make it around Mike Jones, however. Remco Otten's now trapped back and is going to have to find his way around Jones. Hazel with a struggle up front, not sure exactly what happened. As I said, we'll have to go back and review, try and figure that out. But Daniel Pickett under pressure from Bardari now. Dimitri Athwal pulling away from Blaine Hall up front, about a 1.5 second gap so far. Brittany Lois Davies now is going to be under no pressure from Delilah Hazel, as Delilah Hazel makes short work of Davis, getting around very quickly. Remco Otten's able to get around Mike Jones. So Delilah Hazel, obviously a major issue in T1 because got driven back to like P25, but is already making moves to get back up front, is now coming up on the back end of Schleter. And awaiting the opportunity to find the gap. Justin Van Visor moving up into P13 over number 84, Jake Wells. Tobias Gable taking position over Alvarez Jr. Junior with the inside line, though. Oh, and that was some door banging there. We saw it. Just enough to slow him down, and there's the contact recorded. And now looks like Alvarez Jr. under pressure from Dorman and Foose, both stacking up behind him. As we watch here, we've got to keep an eye further back to Delilah Hazel, now around Jan Barth as I tried to jump back and grab it. But Niall Schlieder right there behind Jan. Delilah Hazel just running hard. 1.3 seconds over their fastest lap so far. I mean, obviously qual time was accurate if we're passing this hard this fast. Jake Wells now under pressure from Rob Kesar. Kesar looking to the inside. It's not going to happen this time. Hazel and Haynes continue this battle. Haynes running wide, almost opening the door for Jan Barth. Now Bardari's going to have to deal with Delilah Hazel. Oh, Nathan Edwards, Armand Petrovics with contact further back. Just checking on Wells and Kesar. And once again, Delilah Hazel making moves quickly over Simone Bardari. Checking on Davis and Schlieder as they come together. Schlieder able to find the gap. And will Mike Jones join him if he can hold it? Davis able to hold on for now, but now he's got pressure from Schlieder and Jones. Ottens is catching up to this group along with Kevin Huffman. Pull back a little bit, we can see these drivers stacking up now. Schlieder into the pits, and Schlieder's gone into the pits. Mike Jones, Remco Ottens. Oh, and we got pushing and shoving. Oh, we shove, and Davis with contact through there. Mike Jones losing 2 spots to Ottens and Huffman. Oh, and Mike Jones pushing a little too hard and gonna park it in the middle of the track. Check out with Davis and Ottens now running close together. Daniel Pickett under pressure from Hazel up a little bit further. We're going to bang some doors on the way through, but Hazel able to take that inside line. Otten's able to clear Davis. Now Davis under pressure from Kevin Huffman. Huffman taking the inside line on both these guys. There's Davis, but Ottens holds on for now. And it is now Rob Kesar's turn to feel the wrath of Delilah Hazel. Van Weiser picking up a spot into P12 over Josh Baker. So no cap here. I mean, Delilah Hazel is driving like someone who is possessed by some sort of demon that knows what they're doing. Like knows how to race at the top level. Let's just look at the position delta, because Hazel's still down 9 spots from qualification. Okay. Whatever it is that happened in T1 that I couldn't get focused on, Hazel was involved and now has determined to run it up to the front as quickly as possible. Lee Dorman, though, needing to deal with Tom Foose and Alejandro Aguilar. Who's here in this battle? Really the one under pressure from Aguilar right now. Kevin Huffman able to get ahead of Iridian Lloyd Davis. Pulling up into P19 now as Tom Foose continues to keep Aguilar at bay. Baker and Hazel coming together. Not quite able to pull it off through that corner. Keeping an eye on that Aguilar and Foose battle that's opened up just a little bit so far. Hazel to the inside, able to take it. We have watched these positions come back one after another with Hazel today. Dimitri Athwal continues to lead this race about 1 second, but only about a 1 second gap back to back to Hall. So there's opportunity there. Hall obviously maintaining pace. Let me get over here and take a look. Number 33 and number 41. We wait for average lap times to come in just to see where these guys are sitting. I try and get an idea if that gap's opening or closing. So Athwal with a 206.183 average lap, and Hall with a 206.197. These guys are off by 0.03 of a second. And so far, Hall holding his own with Athwal throughout this entire first 15 minutes of this race. Doing a great job, and it looks like contact further back in the field. Kevin Huffman off track, Zach Brannigan off track. Both losing position to Jones and Petrovics. We'll continue to keep an eye on Hall and Athwal. See if, you know, whether or not this gap closes up. Right now it's actually opening, looking at the graphs, but keep an eye up there. I'd be curious to see if this shrinks throughout the course of this race. Again, still 45 minutes left to go roundabout. That's plenty of time with only a 1 second gap between them. That's really not changing a whole lot. Tobias Gable running strong in P6. Let's get our pre-pit stop position delta look in real quick. Athwal and Hall remaining flat, started in 1 and 2, and that's where they remain. Booth up 2 spots right now. Anderson up 3. Tobias Gable up 3. Zagorski down 1. But Tobias Gable up 3. Alvarez Jr. up 1. Lee Dorman doing well, up 6 spots today. And taking a look there, Adam Thomas, 14 positions during the course of this race, or the first 15 minutes of this race. Fantastic driving there. Wow. 14 spots is a lot. Obviously did not get hung up in any T1 shenanigans. Was able to keep clear of everything and really gain a ton of time. We will see if he can hold on to it. Jake Wells taking up position over Rob Kesar for P14. Kesar back out in the Porsche this season. He enjoys that car. I think he's stuck with it since day 1 and has not moved. Charlie Booth now into the pits, dropping back quickly. Lee Dorman and Tom Foose coming together. Dorman leading out in the Audi, but Foose pushing in that number 324 BMW. Charlie Booth coming out of the pits right in front of Bardari. May have to play a little bit of defense here up front. But everyone from P22 down has made that mandatory pit stop. As you can see him cleared there. It shows Bardari as having not cleared one, but I show a pit stop here. For a drive-through, excuse me. That's why that's not clear. It's actually the same. Oh no, Schlieder has been in twice, so pit stops are starting to clear for our drivers already. Very early in the race, though, still 40 minutes, a little under 40 minutes left to go. Seems odd to take a pit that early. Jake Wells into the pits, letting Baker pick up a spot. Keesar moving up. Gable and Alvarez Jr. now. Again, the battle of the Audis. We had the Bentleys in the AM race, but now we're getting the battle of the Audis here in the Pro and Silver class race today. Now Thomas under pressure from Hazel. Hazel grabbing the spot, but outside line here. Able to blow it through before we get down to the next corner. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick step away. Our driver's relatively well spread right now. Stick with us. The race is in over 36, just under 37 minutes left to go. I want to thank you all for being here and joining us. Stick around till the end of the race. We are going to review T1 and talk about what is coming up at Box 3 Motorsports. Stick around right here and keep an eye on the track. Tobias Gable continuing to feel pressure from Alvarez Jr. These guys running very close this entire race. We take a look at number 188 over in pit wall. As he heads into the pits now, we're not going to get to see this battle anymore. But we can at least compare these guys and see kind of where they were heading. Again, we talked about it earlier with a few other drivers, but up front, Gable running with a 2:08.2 average lap time across 13 laps. Alvarez with a 2:08.3. These guys within a tenth of each other. It's just destiny. They're going to continue to come together. Now, Alvarez has not made that pit stop yet. Lee Dorman right there behind him. So we'll see where things come out as Tobias leaves the pits and Gable ends up making, or I'm sorry, Alvarez ends up making his. Take a look at the drive-thrus today. Seeing only one, Rian Lloyd Davis is our only drive-through penalty. I'm sorry, Niall Schleter also pulling one. And Kevin Huffman with the stop-go 30, currently running in 30th position. No doubt partly because of that. Tobias Gable now back out of the pits and on track, coming out in P17. Lee Dorman now into the pits. So Delilah Hazel continuing the climb. No pit stop yet, but up into P5 after that T1 incident. Stephen Dunn. Yellow flagged. Now disappearing on me. So Hazel going to set sights on Dave Alvarez Jr. next. As more Audis will come together. Every other manufacturer seems to spread out. We don't see, maybe Porsches once in a while. It's weird because Porsches will come together on track. These Audis seem to find each other all the time. Currently 3, 4, and 5 on track. As Hazel closes that gap up very quickly. WRX Wing, afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for being here. Hope you're having a great day. I do want to take a moment and thank all the new followers today that joined us. I know there have been some during the race, and we don't put you know, it's not like over at my channel or other channels you watch where there's a big thing that pops up that says thank you for following or anything like that, because we put the focus on track. But I do want to thank each and every one of you. Continue to keep you right here for racing action. This is just the start of season 4. We're going to be here every week all the way through into November. One thing we haven't talked about yet, we talked about it during the preseason show last week. Alvarez Jr. decided he doesn't want to deal with that pressure and says, I'm going to let Hazel have it for now. Checking on Tom Foose and Davis. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is, as I said, season 4 runs into November. November 12th and 13th are the dates you want to remember. And here's why. The 24 Hours of Spa is coming. It's coming. And you're going to be able to watch it all right here live at Box 3 Motorsports. The entire 24 hours. I will be here for the entire trip with you. We'll have special guests. Maybe I'm going to try and think of some things we could do, because I want it to be more of an event than just a race. And the best part about the whole thing is it's a charity race, folks. We are raising money for Extra Life in November with a 24 hours of spa race on the 12th and the 13th of that month. It's kind of a whole celebration. It's 1 year of Box 3. It's a charity race, which is how our league started, was with a charity race. And so we want to bring that back. We want to make it annual. And it's coming right on the heels of season 4. So you're going to have something to watch here every weekend for September, October, and all the way through into mid-November, bare minimum. Be sure and keep it right here. Alvarez Jr. coming out of the pits right behind Foose. So we get an instant battle here with these two. So far, our top 5 have not cleared pit stops, along with Petrovic's currently running in 8th. Everyone else appears to have cleared that stop except Brittany Lloyd Davis, who now is into the pits. Alvarez Jr. out, and now Tobias Gable going to apply pressure. As I said, these Audis like to find each other for some reason, and we got what we wanted. Alvarez Jr., Gable both clear their pit stop, and this battle is right back to it, just like we would expect and just like we want to see here when we watch. Hazel and Jan Barth both now into the pits. Blaine Hall pulling up into P4. Fat Old Pixel, howdy, how are you? Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Gable falling back just a bit, and will now have to deal with Hazel. And listen, Hazel is just blowing my mind today, because we rarely see this where someone, again, T1 incident, got hung up. We didn't catch it. We're going to review it at the end of the race. But since then has just applied pressure and consistently moved forward one position after another, and cleanly. super clean the entire time. So it's just, it's untenable. It's just amazing what we've watched so far. And Adam Thomas, our P2 sitter, now letting Rob Kesar through as he gets spun around. I don't know if we can catch this. We go at 30 seconds and see if we can catch this. And try and see what happened to Thomas. Spin right there is all it took. Thomas now into the pits, going to make that mandatory pit stop. And maybe come back out and see if they can catch back up. But Dimitri Athwal continuing to lead this race. As David Alvarez Jr. and Tobias Gable will now battle. Hazel pulling back a little bit. We got 4 Audis in a row out here if you count Lee Dormand, who's back a little ways. These guys keep finding each other as Thomas drops back while on that pit stop. What's the drink of choice for this stream? Drink of choice today is Johnny Walker. A little bit of red. No black today. Battle Pixel, all good. Messed up the last race. COTA is not fun. Well, you know, you're not the only one to have a mess up today. I will tell you that, because we've seen a good bit of it in both races. Jan Barth and Josh Baker. We continue to keep eyes on this P8, 9, and 10 situation just ahead. Waiting for Athwal and Kesar to both clear pit stops, but the gaps have opened a little now between Gable, Hazel, and Alvarez, but they keep closing up. Jan Barth now running away from Josh Baker as they spread out. Petrovic and Dormand coming together. There you have it, Dormand clearing the inside on Petrovic, and at the same time, Delilah Hazel moving ahead of Tobias Gable as Rob Kesar, our current number 2, drops into the pits and will lose position to Blaine Hall so far. Hazel now up into P9 with that move on Gable. Petrovic now into the pits along with Rob Kesar. And that should finish up our pit stops for today with just under 20 minutes left to go. Now Alvarez Jr. going to feel the same pressure everyone else has today. I mean, this has been quite the drive. This doesn't tell out, you know, it really doesn't tell out in the position delta. Hazel's still down 2 spots. But when you realize that Hazel was down 15 spots, well, or 10 spots minimum, The climb back up has just been insane throughout this entire race. Jan Barth and Josh Baker coming back together. Nikolai Tsiabuk, Robert Hepburn. As Hepburn now falls back, but Nathan Edwards right there to take up that spot that Hepburn cleared and apply the pressure to Nikolai Tsiabuk, who shall forever be known as Spider-Man. And you're not wrong, Meek. Blaine has just opened it up today. Now, again, you know, Athwal did a really good job maintaining that pace, though, up until, you know, recently, where now the gap's open to about 3 seconds. We saw it really staying together for a while as Hazel and Alvarez Jr. have contact. It looks like everybody is clear and no problems. Check it on Baker and Wells. Rob Keesar right there looking to take advantage as well. As always, we're going to get action right down to the last minute. Just over 15 minutes left to go today in the season opener at the Circuit of the Americas. Tsiabuk and Edwards now coming together to battle it out again. Edwards in the, I believe, the lone Bentley in our pro and silver class drivers. And Nikolai Tsiabuk, look, Nikolai's one of our returning drivers. He's been one of those guys that we've watched through several seasons now. Always someone very consistent. Not the fastest driver on the track, but we have seen some fantastic performance out of him simply because of A, his consistency, and B, his ability to really stay out of trouble. And what I mean by that is doesn't cause incidents, and when he sees them, stays away from them. Nikolai has been a great driver for this league and fun to watch throughout, again, several seasons. I think he may have been here in season 2 as Nathan Edwards is able to slink around. And now Robert Hepburn will be the one applying pressure. We roll downhill, Hepburn on the outside. Not quite there yet, but he's still got plenty of opportunity here against Tsiabuk. But again, Nikolai, just one of those drivers that's really done well throughout, you know, in driving with the league and has had a great run with us. Hepburn just throwing that Nissan down and able to take that inside line, and the number 808 will take position up to P20 over Nikolai Hepburn's still down 2 spots on the day. Adam Thomas now into the pits. Sergey Zagorski holding on to P4 right now. Always good to see an Audi in the top 5, but Blaine Hall with the undercut, as was said in the chat, leading right now by about 15 seconds over Charlie Booth. Anthony Anderson in 3rd. We're down to that point where it is their race to lose, but we've seen it. We've already seen it. Drivers going off track, losing position because of it. Hazel finally closing that gap on Foose. I've been keeping an eye there because we've seen this climb through the ranks throughout this entire race. And I wanted to see if Hazel was going to be able to catch Tom Foose or what limit we had reached. And now they have closed that gap. And Foose going to feel the pressure. And a wide run for Tom Foose right there. Showing contact. I'm not sure that those two came together because only Foose is showing it, and they both go wide off into a little bit of gravel. And Delilah Hazel able to take up P6 over Tom Foose with that. So Hazel, after the T1 incident that we're going to review here in just a bit, has now gotten back up to even after a drop to about P25 during the course of this race. Is now running in P6. Jake Wells, Rob Kesar coming back together as Kesar looks inside. Is it going to be enough? It is in that corner, and Rob Kesar is going to secure P13 right there. At least for the moment, from Jake Wells in the number 84. Just over 10 minutes left to go. Zagorski and now Dimitri Athwal about to come to blows. Honda versus Audi. Hey, look at that fancy sliding we got going on. So, chat, you know, we've watched Hazel climb back again from that T1 incident. Climb back through the ranks, get back even in P6. Now there's a 10.2 second gap up to these two gentlemen, Zagorski and Athwal, that we're watching right now. What are the chances Hazel catches P5 before in the last 10 minutes of this race? Tactical, you hush yourself in my chat. Audi has to win this. Just the rule. No, Dimitri Athwal doing a great job right now, keeping right on the back end of Zagorski. Let's go on board with Dimitri Athwal real quick here and see. He's got the inside line. Can he grab it and hold it? He does, moving up into P4 over Zagorski. Clear right there. Dimitri Athwal putting himself into P4. You are right, WRX. Great move there on Athwal's part to take up P4. Now an 11-second gap up to Anderson, however, with just under 8 minutes left to go. I don't see him closing that one before the end of this race. But a great run from Athwal today. Let's take one last look at that position delta. Who is our driver of the day here? I gotta say, Jan Barth up 14 spots right there in number 12. That's a pretty good run. You're gonna gain 14 positions. Rob Keesar just below. I'm sorry, P12 for Barth. Rob Keesar in P13 gaining 11 spots today, and Corinne Korninkov up 11 spots as well. Some great gainers in today's race. Zach Brannigan up 10 spots further back, doing a great job. A lot of great runs today. From a lot of these drivers. Take a look at Hepburn and Adam Thomas now coming together towards the end of this race. Hepburn doing very well in the Nissan today, kept it clean. But now under pressure from Thomas. Adam Thomas very steady in that BMW. He's got time, right? Not a lot. He's got about 3 laps, but he's close enough at this point. He should be able to find a play here at somewhere on the track. And right there it is. That slide is going to open the door for Thomas to sneak through, taking up P19. Robert Hepburn just pushing a little too hard into the corner. Well, I would agree. I mean, Pickett he's been the pink pig Porsche guy. And now he's in a not pink BMW. What? Like, that's not right. It feels off. It just feels off. It feels wrong. Banned. Pickett's banned from the Discord, from everything. I can't even... I just can't. He's just banned. I think we should just ban him. It's over. Jan Barth. Wait to see if Rob Keesar can close in on Jan Barth here. Just a skosh. The gap's been kind of fluctuating a little bit between about 1.2 and 0.8 seconds. But I see Rob trying to push here at the end. Maybe pick up one more spot. Get into P12 for the end of this race. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Zap Brannigan coming together back for P21. Oh, and Armand Petrovic's having some trouble. Niall Schlieder picking up a position. about 3 minutes left to go in today's race. Don't forget, folks, we're back next week for Zolder Sprint Racing, 30-minute AM and Pro-Am, 45-minute Pro and Silver races as Zap Brannigan looks to take over P21 from Nikolai Ziebuk. Ziebuk pushing him out wide. Zap not quite able to capture it. Now we have to take a look up front, though, as we'll keep an eye up here. Keesar backing off now, but Jan Barth under pressure from Keesar for P12. Robert Hepburn now into the pits right here at the end of the race, giving up position, dropping to P23 so far. As Zap Brannigan continues to look for a line on Ziebuk. Rob Hepburn with a drive-through needing to be cleared. That's what that was. Adam Thomas getting a drive-through today. Not as many as I thought, given what, the drivers were saying about COTA in the run-up to this race. I really figured we'd see a lot more drive-through penalties, but especially in the Pro and Silver drivers where they're going to push a little harder, swing a little wider, try and maximize that time. But not as many as I thought. I'm seeing a total of 1, 2, 3, 5. That's not bad. Across now 28 drivers. Considering that 2 of the drivers had 2 each. So something to think about as well. Andrew Haynes and Niall Schleter both pulling 2 drive-throughs during the course of this race. Zap looks to the outside, not gonna find it, and now Remco Ottens sneaks through and gets involved in this battle. So Remco Ottens getting ahead of Zap Brannigan. And now Ottens pulling ahead of Ziebuk. Out of nowhere, Remco Ottens taking up 2 spots to get into the top 20 today. Now dropping back, but we'll see if he can gain that spot back from Ziebuk. Race over. Blaine Hall is your winner. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Just like that, the race has come to an end as we continue to watch this battle. These guys are going to have to finish this lap. We'll keep it right here and count down your podium. Charlie Booth finishing in 2nd here at COTA today. Anthony Anderson taking up 3rd, Dimitri Athwal in 4th, and Sergey Zagorsky in 5th position. Got to stick this out though. Now, right just ahead of these guys, Nathan Edwards and Adam Thomas gonna fight it out. Tom Foose, Dave Alvarez Jr. into the pits. Tom Foose gaining position up into P7. David Alvarez finishing in 8th. Delilah Hazel in 6th. Lee Dorman, number 9. Tobias Gable finishing out your top 10. Alejandro Aguilar in P11. As Adam Thomas takes over from Nate Edwards. Now Edwards taking it back. Oh, and a push right there, but Thomas letting him have it. He's going to let him hold on to it, as is right. Alejandro Aguilar, Jan Barth, Rob Keesar, Jake Wells, Josh Baker make your 10 through 15. Great racing in both races today. A lot of great battles, a lot of fun to be had here. Igor Korninkov in P16, Daniel Pickett, P17, Nathan Edwards able to hold on for P18, and Adam Thomas, P19. Remco Ottens will cross the line in 20th today with Zap Brannigan right there in number 21. And Nikolai Tsibuk, as you see him coming down the hill, for P22. The rest are finished out. Now, don't go anywhere, folks. Don't run away. Okay? I don't want anybody to leave. It's no fun. We're here for fun. Don't run off. We're going to go take a look at something. Let's go take a look. I want to see T1 in this race because we know something happened. Software freaked out and couldn't do what we needed it to do. So let's go find the T1 incident. That's highlights. Here we go. This one. Let's go take a look together. Give me 1 second here. All right. Let's get it jumped. Give me a second here to flip through the cameras. Let's get a good one. Okay. We'll throw down our double file. Wait for that to come in, and then we'll slow her back down. Actually, before we do that, let's see if we can find the car we're looking for. Who we know was Hazel, because I'm pretty sure Hazel was involved in this. And again, not laying blame there. I'm simply saying, is that it there? Close enough. I'm not laying blame with that. That is me. Wait a minute. Okay. So already we've got sideways stuff going on here. Back this down. So there's a whole lot of bumping and banging. See Hazel getting spun there. Whoop. And look at that pile up in T1. So I gotta ask, you know, here's my question. And I'm not pointing fingers. That's not what I'm here to do. But and again, I only wanted to focus on Hazel because we saw the position loss and then the gains during the course of the race. Who thought it was a good idea to go 4 wide through T1? Because I see 1, 2, 3, including one car that's backwards right there in the center, that are all 4 wide. I'm not sure who thought that was a good idea. So, but that's it. I just wanted to take a look and see exactly what happened, mainly because we saw what happened with Hazel. A ton of lost position and then a huge gain throughout the race. So I want to see what happened here. And apparently, other than our race leaders, this right here is why my software went absolutely nuts and I couldn't do anything. It just basically locked itself because, and look, over there's TG getting out clean. So that's good. But yeah, that was quite it, guys. But those things happen. Yeah, 4 wide, try 6. You're not wrong. It was stacked. This is what I'm saying. It was absolutely stacked across there. But hey, folks, don't forget, season 4 continues next week. We are back for Zolder next Sunday at 6 p.m. UTC, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Please join us. We've got so much coming up. Again, as we go into season 4, we are ending it with the 24-hour on November 12th and 13th. Expect more information on that very shortly. We just want to get season 4 started first, but that 24-hour info and sign up is going to be coming right afterwards. Guys, again, please stick with us. This is so much fun. I have a blast with all of you. I want everybody to have yourselves a great week. a great rest of your weekend, your Sunday with your family, whatever you're doing, a great week at work, whatever you got to do this week. Maybe you're on vacation, in which case, lucky you. And we will be back, as I said, next Sunday for our race at Zolder. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Adam. This is Box 3 Motorsports that you've been watching. Have yourselves a great day.